Coming up on the bench, just because Syracuse plays in a dome doesn't mean it can't storm. SU and the U lived up to all the hype and then some. We've got the highlights from an instant classic, plus a look ahead to bowl season and the future for a football program that is flying high right now.
On the court, we got to break down a couple MTEs, also known as Multicultural Toronto. Wait, that's not right. Also known as multi-team events. Last time I'll ever use ChatGPT. Men's hoops was down in Brooklyn. The women's team soaked up some sun in the Florida Panhandle.
And we've also got you covered on the volleyball court. SU wrapped up its season over Thanksgiving break with a pair of games against similarly struggling squads. Could the Orange close out against Cal and Virginia Tech? We'll break down these contests and reflect on the season with our beat reporter.
And on the ice, Syracuse stepped away from AHA play for a home and away against Colgate. Number 5, Colgate. With the Orange take one from the Raiders for the first time in over a decade, there's only one place to find out: on the bench.
Ian, you were right. There is only one place to find out, right here.
Campus News Leader.
It is the Campus News Leader here at CitrusTV alongside Ian Nicholas. I'm Peter Elliott. Good to be back from Thanksgiving break. Did you enjoy your time off?
I mean, obviously the camera, it adds 5 or 10 pounds. Thanksgiving adds 15 or 20.
I'd say that this suit is slimming.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking headed into the semester. It was good. It was really good. Had it in my place. How about you?
I enjoyed it. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food? What do you like?
Ooh. I'm going to go dessert. I'm a big dessert guy. Yes. I'm one of those guys, a little bit of each pie and banana cream pie. My mom's banana cream pie, that's number 1.
I love that. That is the headline of the Nicholas family.
Of the
Thanksgiving. Let's get to our headlines of the week now. Well, it finally happened. Syracuse is ranked in the AP poll. The Orange clocked in at number 23 in yesterday's poll following its 43-38 upset win over Miami, who, on the flip side, dropped 6 spots to number 14, a drastic fall that jeopardizes the Hurricanes' case for the college football playoff. SU, who played spoiler on Saturday, has been sniffing around the top 25 all season, receiving votes in 7 weeks. It's the program's first appearance in the poll since week 9 of the 2022 season. Syracuse also emerged as the number 25 team in the coaches poll. The CFP rankings will be unveiled on Tuesday night.
Shifting to the spring, Syracuse men's lacrosse is named 4 captains: Owen Hiltz, Sam English, Caden Cole, and a junior, Billy Dwan. I know what you're thinking. Where's Joey Spallina? It appears number 22 will wait another year to wear the C. While Hiltz, English, and Dwan are all new to the role, Cole enters his 3rd season as captain. This group has high expectations, ranked by Inside Lacrosse earlier this offseason as the 2nd best team in the country. Speaking of top 10, Syracuse football hosts number 6 Miami over the weekend. The Hurricanes needed a win to punch their ticket to the ACC championship, and Peter, the Orange were really playing with nothing to lose.
No, they were set to play spoiler. Miami needed this win so badly, and Syracuse, they came ready to play here against the Hurricanes.
Orange working for their first top 10 win since 2017. Sebastian Ives coming all the way up from Coral Gables and trying to make his impact on and off the field, which he certainly did. Shout out the New York Post. Mark Fletcher finds the end zone, the number 1 scoring offense in the country. Strikes first 7-0, and number 1, Cam Ward, the Heisman hopeful. He wouldn't stop there. Elijah Arroyo, his 6th touchdown of his season. It's 21-0 Canes. Syracuse football has never overcame this big a deficit, but they never had Kyle McCord with this big a deficit, or the certified striker, Jackson Meeks. He helps make it a 1-score game at the break. McCord keeps airing it out to his good buddy and 5th-year senior Trevor Pena, trying to pick up the biggest win of his Orange career. We're tied at 21 in the 3rd quarter, and then Devin Grant with a defensive score. He helps Syracuse get in front for the first time. 55-plus yard house call. Shout out Kanye West. Scoop-dee-whoop-dee, scoop-dee-whoop. And the Orange with the lead against the number 6 team in the country. But you got to remember, this is a 4th quarter Miami team. They have come back from the jaws of defeat multiple times this season. And Damian Martinez punches it into the end zone, tied early in the 4th quarter. But the 4th quarter, it's LeQuint Allen time, his second of 2 touchdowns on the game. Syracuse leads by a touchdown, and with 4 minutes to go, they still lead because Andreas Borgalit's out for the field goal. Mario Cristobal settles for the field goal, and they never score again. The Orange, they ice it. Kyle McCord, he celebrates with the fans who rush the field, and Syracuse picks up its first top 10 win since 2017, just its 7th home win, top 10 all-time, and Peter, number 5 all-time, Kyle McCord on the ACC passing list.
I see a lot of guys on there who play on Sundays. That's exactly what Kyle McCord will do after this season. Lots of illustrious names there. I mean, Ian, he's just one of the greatest quarterbacks in Syracuse program history, period.
Let's continue to give Kyle his flowers because who knows, he might not play another down for the Syracuse Orange, although there are rumblings that, hey, maybe he could get a waiver from our good friends at the NCAA to play one more season. Maybe he goes to the NFL to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl. But Kyle McCord, number 1 in Syracuse program history in passing yards, in passing touchdowns, and in completions. And Peter, it really has to do with the fact that Jeff Nixon said, Kyle, carry us every single week.
That's what he did all season long. He played like Little League Kyle. He played free. He did not play kind of burden the way he did at Ohio State. And you see here, he's already on that pantheon of the greatest SC quarterbacks in history. He brought consistency to this program. The first quarterback, since you see on your screen, Ryan Nassib in 2012, to play a whole season and not get benched or injured. Kyle McCord, so special for this season. We bring in a guy who's pretty special to this program here, Skyler Wilkes, in studio with us now to break down this season and where we are moving forward. In our headline, we talked about how Syracuse now ranked number 23 in the AP poll, the first time this season they've made an appearance there. Do you agree with that ranking so far?
It's tough to say because it could go a lot of different ways, right, Peter? I mean, this team has 3 ranked wins, hasn't happened since 1998, and there's about 5 or so teams in front of Syracuse that doesn't have a ranked win. There's 3 of them, and they could really be up to as far as 19 even, maybe even 18 if you want to get there, but the losses are really bad.
Yeah.
You lose to a 3-win Stanford team, you get blown out by Pitt, who was ranked at the time, but now is just sitting at 7-5, and Boston College is there as well, so you have 2 unranked wins. That's not a great look, but yeah, UNLV, 2 really solid losses now, but Syracuse is better than UNLV, and they proved it just a few months ago. And so you look at Colorado without a ranked win. There are a lot of teams that Syracuse is definitely better than and could be ranked higher than.
You're so right. Those losses still loom so large for this program. It happened so long ago, that loss to Stanford, but you still so many people viewing that loss as detrimental to their ranking. All right, so many recruits were on campus here for this game, and they saw a great game, a lot of reasons to commit to the Qs. Skyler, what do you think this win in particular will do for recruiting?
It's got to do just about everything. I mean, Fran Brown is a special recruiter in his own right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the whole reason why he's at Syracuse. But I mean, the sidelines, you could barely move.
No.
There were so many recruits, and he didn't need the private jets. All he needed was the Loud House, and all he needed was a win to trust the guys that he brought in, and even guys that stayed, right? Aronde Gadsden and Trevor Pena, they've been here the whole time. They came up big. Liquid Allen's been here the whole time, and then you got McCord and Meeks, 2 guys that he brought in. I mean, it really just shows you can be a difference maker and bring this team back to prominence where it was in the 90s with guys like Donovan McNabb. There's such an upside to this program that, I mean, the way Fran Brown acts and carries himself, why wouldn't you want to play for the guy? I mean, it's a program which you want to be a part of.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the reason why he's here. A top 40 recruiting class last year, a top 40 projected recruiting class this year. All the transfers he brought in who have helped this program, and you saw on your screen there are guys who are already flipping to the program. That visit to Miami, that's got to wow a lot of high school kids. They're going to want to play in the Dome. One more question for you here, Skyler. Let's look towards the end of this season. Where do you think Syracuse will be playing in the postseason? We've seen some experts project where the Orange are going. It's all over the country, from El Paso to San Diego. Where would you like to see the Orange play in a bowl game?
I mean, realistically, I'd like to see them play in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop, but that's not going to happen. There are a lot of games that could be anywhere. I mean, it's really so hard to say, but as you can see, the Gator Bowl is realistically the most likely outcome, and there's some teams that really would be tough competition. I mean, South Carolina is a potential playoff team. That would be a really tough battle. Syracuse has actually played in that bowl game twice, most recently in 1996, which was a blowout victory over Clemson. But Minnesota, an old foe in these bowl games. But I think for everyone looking at this is the bright side. There's no pinstripe bowl.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? They're
no
all
Fenway
warm,
Bowl.
No Fenway Bowl. They're all pretty much warm locations, except the Mayo Bowl could be in Charlotte. I mean, all of those games, though, are pretty winnable. South Carolina is really the only uphill battle. Florida is getting hot at the right time. But those are really good bowls that I don't think, Fran Brown might have expected that, but this is kind of exactly where you thought Syracuse could be, that ceiling coming into the season.
I love that these projections are quite literally all over the map, from all coast to coast, and that's a great thing when SU isn't just pigeonholed into those Northeast bowls that SU was trying to get out of. It can be really exciting to see Syracuse. And the Pop-Tart Bowl, we know that's a fun one, or the Sun Bowl, some prestigious bowls that SU could be eligible. We'll find out their fate after December 8th. That's when the CFP rankings will be announced. That's when these bowl games will start being released, and we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, no Snoop Dogg Bowl, unfortunately. But
it's really a shame.
But hopefully we get a fun bowl. Syracuse rewarded for its play this season, a 9-win year for the Orange, the best finish since 2018. Skyler, Wilkes, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about the Orange football. Well, stay with us here because lest we forget, basketball season is underway. The men's program stayed close to home for the break. Was it feast or famine for SU at the Legends Classic in Brooklyn? Plus, Cornell came to the Dome on Thanksgiving Eve, looking to spoil Syracuse's appetite. We'll have the highlights from the Orange's last 3 games next on the bench.
Hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back on the bench. Ian Nicholas alongside Peter Elliott. And Peter, we're going to go back a couple weeks here, but we were talking about Thanksgiving earlier. A reason why we're talking about the Legends Classic for men's basketball down in Brooklyn is because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. And, really when you think of Brooklyn and you think of basketball, I don't really think of college. I think of the pros, and I think of, the fact that Jay-Z used to own that team.
That's right, the Brooklyn Nets, absolutely.
So I want to put you on the spot. Jay-Z from Brooklyn. Of course. Can you name 3 Jay-Z songs?
Oh my God, this is putting me on the spot here. I feel like this is one of those TikToks where they approach the people on the street and they try and
right on the spot.
Now I understand how they feel, and then you can never.
Can you give me at least one?
What's this? What's the song? Dumbo? No.
Dumbo.
No, am I making that up? What?
99 Problems.
99 Problems. There we go. Yes, I'm not a real hip hop head.
Okay, I misjudged completely.
No, sorry. It's also getting into here. No, listen. I'm. All right.
It's all right.
You know
Peter.
what? It'll come to me.
Maybe if I gave you some Biggie songs, you would have got it.
Yes, that's possible.
I'm a big Biggie guy, Notorious B.I.G.
Sure.
What a juicy matchup this was in the Texas Legends Classic.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a song of his. A rematch against Texas of the 03 Final Four. The Orange, they got the better of the Longhorns 20 years ago. But think 2 decades later, Syracuse fans talking about, Kai and Anthony, more of his Big Papa.
Yes.
Notorious B.I.G. No, I was joking. His dad's Carmelo Anthony. Anyways, this is a really good Texas team under Rodney Terry. Team that's made it to the NCAA tournament each of the last 2 years, and under duress, they play like it. The ball is ping-ponging around, but Caden Shedrick, he's going to end up on the right end of an alley-oop. The former UVA big man makes it 7-0 Longhorns early, and the bleeding continues for the Orange. His defense still porous after those non-conference games. The assist on that slam for Arthur Kaluma, another transfer that has really solidified this team just outside the national rankings. Donnie Freeman makes a 3 right before halftime, but the Orange still down 11 points. But they got number 44, that being Eddie Lampkin. He goes on a 7-0 run Early in the second half, J.J. Starling ties the game at 56 with 6 minutes to go. 3 minutes later, Starling running all around the court. He finishes with 16 on the game. He gives the Orange their first lead. But Texas, they've got experience in moments like these. I talked to you about what they do in March. Kendall Weaver, a fifth-year senior, he puts them back up on the next possession. And in a game of free throws down the stretch, I know a chaotic possession at the end here, but Peter, the Orange missed half their free throws on the game, and it made the difference. They lose by 4.
Free throws matter, as we know. Empire State of Mind, that's a song, right? That's a Jay-Z song?
It took you a while, but you got there.
Got one, all right, that counts. And that's thematic, that makes sense here with the Legends Classic in Brooklyn. So Syracuse doing what a lot of people in the Longhorn State do. I guess when they get rejected from Texas, they go to Texas Tech.
Oh, come on.
Oh, sorry, no shade to the fine students of Texas there. Chris Bell, a three-pointer, then Jake Juan Carlos, a little floater in the paint there, and J.J. Starling, hey now, lighting the lamp. Elijah Moore, rather, lighting the lamp from outside. Chapa there, making 3. Tied up at half. A much better showing in the first half for the Orange than that game against the Longhorns. But unfortunately here, you start to see the Red Raiders pull away. Chance McMullen, back-to-back triples there. That was devastating. Elijah Hawkins, the assister on both of those. Texas Tech pulling away now in this one. And there's Darian Williams, assisted by Kevin Overton there. He led the way, 20 points for Texas Tech. JT Toppin would come here and just a little spin off the left there. Texas Tech holds on to win 79-74. Syracuse leaves Brooklyn with JMA Wireless Dome South winless in the Legends Classic.
I mean, a couple whiffs in Quad 1 competition, and Syracuse needs a get-right game. And on Blackout Wednesday, it was the Big Red who came to party. Now, since the last time Cornell beat Syracuse in 1968, here's a trivia lesson. Jim Boeheim started coaching. He was promoted to head coach. He won over 1,100 games. He had his son, Buddy, and there was also another one, Jimmy. He saw him graduate from Cornell, and Jim retired. Anyways, that's everything that's happened in the history of Syracuse since Cornell last beat the Orange. But did the Big Red have an upset in them? Well, let's see, because this is a veteran team led by a senior in Cooper Nord who knows how to hit the 3. 6-0 Big Red, and 3 minutes in, it's going to be 10-0. Little hop, step, and a score from Nazir Williams. Is Syracuse really going to finally lose one of these close games to a mid-major? Well, the Orange, they know they need this one. Chapa Moore, he makes 5 threes in this game. Syracuse as a team made 5 threes. He accounted for all of them. And the Orange start storming back. His freshman counterpart, Donnie Freeman. We're going to keep talking about this duo. Orange swing the momentum in their favor. They're up 11 at the break. But Cornell's not going away. Syracuse's defensive problems aren't going away. But thank goodness that they got Chapa Moore. Another corner 3 for Chapa. And Syracuse with a 7-point lead with 12 minutes to go. 6 minutes later, Donnie, he's a power forward. He handles the ball like a guard. Syracuse up 10. And finally, a little defense. 2 minutes to go. Oh my goodness, Lucas Taylor. This guy's got to play a little bit more. Chris Bell, watch your 6. This guy can play defense. Elijah Moore, he can play offense. Orange win by 10. Red Autry was pretty heated after the game, Peter. He said that we got to tighten this rotation. Those are 2 guys who are not leaving it.
No, they need to play more, absolutely. A season high in minutes there for Donnie Freeman and Elijah Moore. The most they played in the season. They got to play more in this game, and a really exciting showing from the freshmen there.
Well, evidently these 2 are heating up figuratively. The women's team, they turned up the temp literally. Felicia Leggett-Jack might be a little young to be a snowbird, but she migrated her squad to Florida for Feast Week. We'll recap the Emerald Coast Classic on the bench.
Buzzed and doing this? To make yourself feel okay to drive?
CWX.
You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love.
Back on the bench alongside Ian Nicholas, I'm Peter Elliott. Ian, you went back to your home state of Connecticut over the break. You did? I went back to my home state of Illinois. The men's team didn't leave the state for Thanksgiving. They stayed in the Empire State. The women's squad, though, they took advantage of the free time off. They jetted off to the Sunshine State for the Emerald Coast Classic. That was a much-needed work vacation for Felicia Leggett-Jack's squad. After a 3-3 start with a pair of losses to mid-major schools, it's clear FLJ's team has some things to work on. Nothing that a little sunshine can't fix, right, Ian?
Right. I mean, you know, Italians already get tan. You could use a little tan yourself, Peter. Maybe you should have been down there.
Thank you. A little burn, actually, is what happens when I go down south.
True.
Unfortunately. Well, getting a little better here for Syracuse. A much stronger start because Sophie Burrows was making play there. Bank shot. Bank was open there all the way down in Florida, even on the holiday weekend. Georgia Woolley also tallying a season high in steals and assists. She'd find Journey Thompson there in stride on the fast break. Georgia Woolley, a phenomenal game so far. She's been one of the true standouts this year for SU. It's Thompson again from outside lighting the lamp there. Woolley would come away with it again there. She was all over it in this one. Again, really getting her hands active in the cookie jar, and a little push shot there. That wouldn't go, but Kyra Wood would finish it there. SU up 44-28, a 16-point lead at the half. And hey, Orange Royalty, Lexi McNabb there from beyond the arc. That was huge for SU, expanding this lead in the second half. 46 points in the paint for Syracuse to Mizzou's 22. The Orange were playing bully ball down low. The Orange tamed the Tigers 82-59. That's the most SU has scored against a Power 5 opponent, Ian, since February of last season.
Well, let's go to another Power 5 opponent. If you consider the Big East a power conference in the women's game, it's UConn and then it's everybody else. But the second best team in that conference might be the Blue Jays. And if you give the Blue Jays any room from three, I mean, do you see where the ball is zipping, bing, bang, bong? They made 12 threes in the first half on just 15 tries. They led by, as my math serves, a quintillion points at the end of the first half. I mean, this was essentially a done deal. If you don't believe me, 55-21. Syracuse couldn't buy a bucket. They couldn't stop a ball from going in. It was just a brutal second game down in Destin, and really a wake-up check for Syracuse, given the fact that, yes, Creighton receiving votes, but non-competitive for a majority of this game. Syracuse does end up outscoring the Blue Jays in the second half, but it didn't matter. One of the lone bright spots on this season so far, Olivia Schmidt drills a late three, but the Qs still lose by 27.
Ian is not a math guy, we know that. Before the Orange left for Florida, Syracuse was stunned in an upset loss to UAlbany. You've probably heard what Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack had to say after that game by now. She called out the fan base, saying nobody cares about her program. She has since amended those comments, but the call to action was clear. We need more support in the Dome. That call was answered on Sunday by the Orange faithful with 1,000 more fans in attendance at the Dome for the team's game against Yale. 1,000 more than that game against UAlbany. Did the fan turnout, though, lead to a better result? Let's show you the highlights. 1 in 7 Yale rolling into the Dome, and the Bulldogs got off to a pretty strong start for this Ivy League squad here. Mackenzie Egger off the start here. A little put-back layup there. She would get Yale off to a 6-2 start there. And again, Lucy Lynn would pull up a little fast break jumper there. Yale out to a 10-5 start late in the first quarter. Finally, Syracuse would get going. It's Isabel Verajao. She would finish with 12 points. She has been strong all season. You really need her paint presence there. Syracuse would finish the first half after that slow start up 33-20 at the half. And Kira Scott, you mentioned it, Ian. She is a great freshman for this Orange program. Georgia Woolley, a layup there, and this SU team would pull away eventually in the second half here. That's Shy Hawkins, the freshman. The layup off the turnover, 78-50 is your final. Syracuse pulling it out there. And Ian, let's take a look ahead at this upcoming schedule. I think they get a favorable draw here in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Texas A&M, the worst offense in the SEC. They average just 66 points a game.
Yeah, and that was the NCAA tournament team a season ago, but only 500 to start the year. It's always going to be difficult to win on the road, though, Peter. And then that next game on Sunday. Notre Dame, they have lost a couple games in a row. They also played in warmer climates and lost in a couple of games in a tournament. But that team still has Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo, and I think they're two of the top 10 players in the country. That will be difficult even if it's back in the dome.
And Sonia Citron. I mean, the preseason #1 in the ACC, number 10 team in the country. That'll be tough. And Ian, I don't think you can take any of those mid-major games for granted either. Binghamton and Dartmouth. This is a Binghamton team that only lost to Pittsburgh by 5. So at this point, with 2 losses under their belt to mid-major teams, there's no easy sledding here for this SU team.
Right, you already mentioned it, Peter, already 2 losses to mid-major teams. FLJ and company, they can't overlook anyone.
No, they cannot. Well, still ahead here on the bench, the volleyball team was stuffing over Thanksgiving break. SU playing its final 2 games of the season. Could Ava Palm and the Orange finish strong, take home another conference win, or hey, maybe even 2? Find out on the other side of the break. You're watching On the Bench.
Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Oh, okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. Yeah, Dad. We're getting so wet. Oh,
Back here on the bench, Peter Elliott alongside Ian Nicholas. Ian, I know you're a big volleyball guy. We often see you at the women's building getting some bumps in.
Oh, no, not me. I mean, me and Greta Schlichter are probably the same height, but that's not me.
Must have been a lookalike. Sorry, I thought I saw someone who looked like you. But let's talk about this volleyball team here. A really strong start to the non-conference slate, but it's been a struggle at times in the conference slate.
I mean, as expected, right, Peter? I mean, they went winless in conference play a year ago, and although it was really remade, just looking for the right word, I couldn't find it. Completely different roster for Coach Bake this year. It's still going to be an uphill battle in the ACC.
Of course, but I think you got to give this team some credit. They won, again, 0 ACC games last season, and so every win, even a close loss, that's a step in the right direction for this program. So with 2 games remaining on its slate over Thanksgiving break, do you think that the Spike in Orange could actually win a game and end of the season on a high note? It hosted Cal for the final home game of the season on Wednesday. The Bears were golden, though, defeating SU in straight sets. It was the 11th sweep suffered by the Orange this season. That final score kind of belies how close it was to begin. There were 4 lead changes in this first set. It was tied, actually 25-25, but Cal held on in the first frame. The visitors got out to an 11-4 lead in the second set, never looked back, taking it 25-15. Things then unraveled in that third set. SU mustered just 8 points. But could the Orange bounce back in the final game of the season against Virginia Tech in Blacksburg? Let's see. Yes, they did. They were the queens of the Castle Coliseum. SU takes down VT 3-1. It's the 3rd conference win of the season and the first road win against an ACC opponent since October of 2022 against Clemson. Syracuse finishes its season with a 15-17 record. That is considerably better than last season when the Orange went just 2-26. Getting close to 500 is just something to hang your hat on, no doubt. To take a deeper look at the season, Ian snuck another guest into our studio. It's our volleyball beat reporter, Josh Solomon.
What is he, like a wanted man? I didn't sneak him in. Josh is always welcome. And of course we're going to welcome him because, Josh, the season's over. We got to talk to you one more time. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, well, let's talk about the MVP of this year's team. I know it wasn't a great run in ACC play, but there was one player in particular that, regardless of the opponent, showed up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any other player you can talk about than Ava Palm, the transfer from CSU Bakersfield, the graduate student. She showed up and she showed out in the North. Well, 9 games with 15-plus kills, 7 games with double-doubles. That's when you have 10-plus kills and digs. When I talked to her in September, she said she wanted to lead by example. She actually was selected as a captain in her senior year last year for CSU Bakersfield. And then in her graduate season this year at Syracuse, she wasn't selected captain. So she wanted to do something different and show it really on the court. And that's exactly what she did. She did a phenomenal job at that, whether it was in the back row, whether it was in the front row. She did just absolutely amazing job for Syracuse. And the best game of her career came in the final game of the season with 21 kills against Virginia Tech in that third ACC win the Orange had this season.
Palm so good down the stretch. Might not be the last time we talk about her on tonight's show. That's what we like to call a deep tease in the biz. Anyways, Josh, so many new players on this team. I know there was that loaded sophomore class, but still so many new players that it almost feels criminal if we don't mention who did you think was maybe the most impressive or the most surprising first-year player for this team? Because you already said Palm came in with really high expectations.
Yeah, Ian, fun fact, 6 of the 18 players on this year's team were returners. Only 6 of them. Unbelievable. So one of them I do have to talk about. It's not a graduate student, even though Ava Palm was the graduate student I mentioned here. It's a redshirt freshman. Skyler George is the player I want to talk about. She didn't play a single point last year for Utah, so she decided, hey, I'm going to come north and I'm going to join the Syracuse Orange. SU head coach Bakir Ganesharatnam was very happy to have her because she did absolutely phenomenal. You're talking about this player that is compared to a girl in Ava Palm, She was right there with her. 33 service aces this season. That was one less than Palm. She also matched Ava Palm in those 7 games with double-doubles. She had the exact same amount. Did a great job for this team. Skyler George did, and I'm sure, as I mentioned, Coach Bake already, still has 3 years of eligibility left. She's only a redshirt freshman. I know he's very happy about that, and I'm really excited to see what she does for the rest of her time in Orange.
Yeah, this was a rebuild year, a reload year, somewhere in between for Coach Bake and company. And they had some big moments. They also had some not so great moments when conference play came around. But when it's all said and done, Josh, when you reflect on this season, what moment really stood out to you as the key one for Syracuse volleyball?
Well, let's be honest, Ian. Going into the season, we both had really no idea what to expect. Syracuse fans didn't either. After going 2-26 last year, well, what's going to happen? And Syracuse started off in a big way, going undefeated, a 12-0 record in non-conference play. And actually, 7 of those 12 games were victories in straight sets. Now, I know what you're going to say. Okay, well, the team only had 3 wins in ACC play. I get that. They finished 15-17 under 500. But if you look back at that opening stretch, that was pretty remarkable. It doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't. They didn't lose a single game in that stretch. And it was the first time since 2010, almost nearly 15 years ago. That was the last time the Orange went undefeated in non-conference play. So if I'm going to talk about a surprise moment, it's got to be that part. After only winning 2 games last year and starting off victorious in the first 12 of them, that's pretty good.
Hey, look, history is history regardless of the opponents, and the fact that they beat Iowa State at the end of that, a perennial NCAA tournament team, that was really the icing on the cake, Josh. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for all the great work you did for us this year.
Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be following that volleyball team for years to come, and maybe a little bit of a surprising year in year 3 of a Coach Bakir Ganesharatnam era, but he wasn't the only third-year coach that has been cooking on the hill. Brittany Smith and the Syracuse ice hockey team, well, they've been doing pretty well in conference play, but how about against a top 5 team? We'll travel outside Tennessee on the other side of OTB.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My.
Oh.
Welcome back to On the Bench. Ian Nicholas alongside Peter Elliott. And Peter, like we said before the break, we got to talk about this Syracuse ice hockey team who has quietly had a very solid 3rd season under Brittany Smith. And somebody, if you know anything about this ice hockey program, the one player you need to know, and who's been a star the last 2 years, Allie Kelly. I mean, she continues to shine in cage.
Knew you were going to say that. Absolutely. I mean, she's the one who's broken program records. Really someone that you love to have coming back this year for SU.
Yeah, she's already 4th most all-time in Syracuse program history in saves. She's been here a year and a half. But the Orange would need more of a dependable goalie to challenge 5th-ranked Colgate. Fresh off an appearance in the Frozen Four, the Raiders haven't missed a beat. Headed into Syracuse's home and home, Gate picked up a top 10 road win against Kelly's former team, number 7 Quinnipiac. You know, again, this is how good of a program that Colgate is. You know, Allie Kelly, she didn't even play at Quinnipiac. She had to go to St. Anselm just to see the ice, and now she has a chance to play a team that can go blow to blow with her former employer in Quinnipiac. Anyways, Colgate delivers the first goal. Emma Pice, her 8th goal of the year in the first period. But Syracuse came to play. Laura Leitner, her first goal of her collegiate career, comes in the second period. It ties us at 1, but this Raiders team, they've only lost 4 times this year. They know how to dominate the winning moments. They score to make it 2-1 late in the second period, and then in the waning moments of the third period, they're going to make sure to get it done as well. Although Syracuse, they fought to the very end. Naya Turvinen, she missed a shot, but Colgate just pounded Allie Kelly in cage all game long. They score really the ice on the cake at Kennedy Ice Pavilion in the final few minutes, and they win 3-1. Peter, would it be as close down in Hamilton, though? That's the question.
Well, that is the question here, and now the Orange would be getting comfortable to start here, hanging out on the cage. You'd hope they would attack the cage a little more offensively, but don't get too comfortable here behind the glass. Oh, watch out. Oh, my goodness. Wow, involved in the play there. But, of course, that winds up being a Christina Keltonkova goal. She averages, Ian, a goal a game. She had 2 in the first period alone. It was coming fast and furious early on. The Raiders netting 4 goals in the opening frame on just 17 shots. And to the second, hey, that's Bryn Sorella to light the lamp. It's 4-1 Colgate. That's Sorella's 5th goal of the year, but 7 minutes into the second, and this is just ugly. SU's Haley Trudeau assessed a 5-minute major for direct contact to the head. That puts Colgate on the power play, and they take advantage. Emma Pace slots at home her 9th goal of the season. It's 5-1 Colgate after 2. And late in the third, it's Keltonkova again. Toss those caps. It's her 4th career hat trick. Number 5 Colgate cruises 7-1 over Syracuse. And this might be the best team Syracuse plays all season.
Well, they still got Minnesota Duluth on that schedule. They had to reschedule that after the Hurricanes were whipping through the country earlier in the fall. But yeah, I mean, Syracuse hasn't beaten Colgate in over a decade, and although it's been a solid 3rd year for Coach Brittany Smith and company, you're not going to compete with a team that's been a perennial NCAA power.
They're just a true league above Syracuse. Syracuse has not beaten Colgate since October of 2014, Ian. The Orange haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game against the Raiders since 2013.
I mean, I was still in diapers in 2013, so that was a long time ago. But let's bring us back to the present, specifically the month of November. What a month it was. We already talked about Thanksgiving, but when we come back on the bench, we got to talk about our performers of the month. Maybe that big fella over at Cal Berkeley, the receiver over the middle of the field. He might be a performer of the month, and our plays of the month when we come back.
Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Back here at the wall, alongside Ian Nicholas, I'm Peter Elliott. You know what that means? It's time for our performers of, not the week, of the month here, because we're wrapping up all of
December
November.
already.
It really is. It goes by so quickly.
Snowing already.
Finals, we're going to be home before you know it. It is amazing.
No.
But we've got to highlight these 3 performers of the month before we cap off here. So let's start with our 3rd performer of the month. It's a guy who is going to be playing on Sundays, Ian. Oronde Gadsden, OG the second. What a month he had. 34 catches for 394 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just continues to be a matchup nightmare, Ian.
He really does, and there's a lot of players we could have highlighted here, Peter. We talked so much, though, about Jackson Meeks and Kyle McCord. You're not going to have Oronde Gadsden for much longer. Like you said, he's going to play in the NFL. If it's not next year, it's going to be the year after that, just like his father did with the Miami Dolphins back in the day. He's just a freak of nature.
Pretty special to get to watch him play. Not many college football programs can have a guy of his size, 6'5", line up almost as a slot receiver, tight end hybrid. He absolutely will follow in his father's footsteps. Speaking of players who will probably not wear the orange uniform anymore, someone here who has come in almost on loan for another program. It's Ava Palm here, our 2nd performer of the month.
Yeah, and that's another sport where you certainly need height to dominate, right? I mean, Palm not 6'5", but she's also not that far off either. Annie Nikolnikova takes the cake on that team for verticality, but Palm's probably got the best vert. I mean, did you see that? Cross-court kill. Overall, Palm really showed up when her team needed her the most in 2 of Syracuse's 3 ACC wins on the year. The Notre Dame reverse sweep, and then the season closer at Virginia Tech. She combined for over 40 kills and 20 digs. She got on the ground, she made plays to keep sets alive, and she spiked it with authority.
You look at the numbers on your screen there, the November totals and kills and digs in block assists. I mean, it is remarkable what she means for this program. The Syracuse team wouldn't be winning these games if it weren't for Ava Palm. She finished the season with 371 kills, 113 more than the next outside hitter. You need her all season long. Let's go to our number 1, and I think you probably can guess who it is.
Who?
Come on, who's the guy throwing the football?
Ryan Nassib.
Right. It is the modern-day Ryan Nassib, Kyle McCord, the transfer from Ohio State. He's just been playing like Little League Kyle all season long, 149 completions, 1,845 yards, 10 touchdowns in the month of November. He is the nation's leading passer, Ian Nicholas.
Yes, he is, Peter Elliott. Yes, he is. And he outdueled Cam Ward, the nation's 2nd leading passer, and a guy who's going to get drafted very high next April into the National Football League. Really impressed with what Kyle did this year at Syracuse. And there's a reason why we're talking about him so much. It's probably his swan song here on the bench. So we'll continue to talk about him a little bit this semester, but really, this is the last time we'll be talking about him for a performance he had in a Syracuse uniform, unless he decides maybe to play in the bowl game.
That'd be
we'll
exciting.
See. That would make that must watch.
Maybe in the Duke's Mayo Bowl or the Sun Bowl or wherever across the
I
country.
like Mayo, but that's a controversial take. You know what's not controversial? Our top plays of the month. Those are no doubters. We got 5 of them, and let's start on the women's basketball court. They don't lose to every mid-major they play. I'm just joking. Please don't kill me, Felicia. Get Jack. Great block from her former player at Buffalo, though. Zanaya Wilson. She's usually a paint player, but here she gets out to the corner and says, "Not in my house." Rest in peace to Kembe Mutombo. That would have made him proud. A great play in a win against FDU.
Absolutely. An honorary figure wag. Right there. All right, number 4, men's soccer. Let's revive this men's soccer season here because of this save right here. Tomas Hutt, the extension there, the kick save. Insane here. Let's get another look. His body is taking him one way, but he keeps the right leg here, saving the goal there. That was needed there in this game. Wake Forest, unfortunately, would go on to win 2-1 in that ACC tournament opener, but Tomas Hutt preventing that goal there, Ian.
Yeah, it really came up big as Syracuse surged down the stretch, but just couldn't get into the NCAA tournament. One of the best tight ends in NCAA, Oronde Gadsden. What a catch. It came at a loss at Boston College, but the backhanded snag. And again, he's a tight end, but really, he's got the hands and the skills of a receiver.
That is a circus grab. I think that, in my money, that is the play of the season for Syracuse football. How about this, though? This is the play of the season for Syracuse basketball so far. Eddie Lipkin throwing it down. That's transfer to transfer. Jair Davis, little over the head here. Whoop! to Eddie Lampkin, who slams it down. I talked to them after the game. They said this is something they work on in practice. Eddie Lampkin gets a lot of praise for his passing, but Jair Davis can do it as well.
Jair Davis is my guy. He doesn't know he's my guy, but he's my guy. I love the way he plays, Delaware transfer. I love the way the Buffalo transfer plays. Devin Grant, after the game, Fran Brown told the media he's playing on a torn MCL.
Insane.
You couldn't tell.
No.
He beats Cam Moore to the pylon. He steals the ball from one of the best receivers in the country.
Peanut punch
Xavier
there.
Restrepo. Peanut. Shout out Charles Tillman.
That's right.
I know you wanted to get that in there
Go
as a Bears
Bears.
fan. And he swings the momentum in the second half, and all of a sudden, Syracuse, its biggest win in quite some time.
And the best thing is you get him back next season. Fran Brown saying Devin Grant will be here next year, hopefully on a more healthy MCL. But that is remarkable, a 56-yard return there on that MCL. Ian, I'm just remembering now, remember the Jay-Z songs?
Yes.
No Church in the Wild. That's one right there. I got a
All
second
right.
Jay-Z
Good
song
for
there.
you,
Before
Peter.
we go to our images of the week, I'm not sure if there'll be a Jay-Z song, but we appreciate you watching. He's Ian. I'm Peter.
Miami Hurricanes will beat Syracuse. I'd go with the Canes as well.
Miami winning this one.
Miami wins it.
We do not care.
First time in 2 decades, Syracuse hosts Miami.
Gives to Allen. Bends through multiple tackles. Touchdown, Syracuse. Looks to the left corner of the end zone. 1v1 ball for Meeks. He went up there and he got it. Touchdown, Syracuse.
Green to Restrepo. He plunges forward, lost the ball. Grant has it.
Allen, the seas part, and he walks into the end zone. It's liquid time, and everybody rushes the field. Syracuse football has secured a top 10 win in the Dome.
50 shots out of 8, every kiss on my name. You get smoked on the same day. You doing it, we hit the block.